What is going on? Santiago. Irish Lean. All right. One second. Why can't I get this to be... There we go. Let me fix this. 1 second, guys. Let me fix my setup here. Okay. Let me fix my setup over on TikTok. There we go. There we are. I feel like I look a little bit more high def now. What's going on, chats? Sorry, just literally started my live on TikTok 57 seconds ago, so I'm not answering questions just yet. Got to set a couple things up. I've been live on YouTube for 2 whole minutes. Let me go over what's coming up here, and then I will start taking questions. All right, I think that's good. But what is going on? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Do I want to Red Bull this late, or should I just stick with my water? Always a tough decision. Let me turn this off and back on. There we go. One second, guys. Let me just make sure everything's set up correctly. We're good there. We're good here. My camera was on 2K instead of 4K. What the heck is that about? You know what I mean? I don't want to be in 2K. It's like low def. All right. All right, what's going on, chat? Lots of crazy stuff happening. Let's get into it. Mid-Atlantic. I tried to tell you. Here's our latest snow totals expectations over the next 2 weeks from the GFS for the Mid-Atlantic. Now, this is... Take this with a grain of salt, as we always say. This is pretty far out. But just to show you where the signal wants to put snow on the Euro and the GFS. Our GFS wants to put 2 feet of snow from Boston to DC. I'm not lying. Our GFS wants to put 2 feet of snow into DC, Baltimore, Philly, New York City, Boston, and everything in between. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. But do I think that is a kind of target area for snow? Yeah, I do. We might miss out down there in Baltimore, DC, but we'll see. We can see what our Euro wants to do. Our Euro's got a big target, same area, you know. Again, grain of salt, big grain of salt here, but you can see where the target area is. The Euro likes a foot, basically, from Boston all the way down to DC. I mean, the Euro likes snow even farther in the south, as you can see. The Euro likes some of that snow into the Carolinas, maybe into Tennessee, Oklahoma, Arkansas. You know, haven't looked at the Canadian yet today, but let's see what the latest Canadian thinks. Canadian likes, the Canadian likes the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic for a little bit, but then you can see the Canadian has this very, very far southern snowstorm right down here. Interesting. And our icon's not going to see out that far, but I'll show you what our latest icon thinks. Only going out about 8 days. Does see that target appear in the Northeast, but again, we're not really seeing very far with that. So here is, again, our forecast through February 13th with temperatures. Here's through February 17th. You can see where our polar vortex is slipping, and we're getting significant cold air across below average temperatures across the entire states, except for maybe down here. I do think this cold will move into this ridge, but it's going to take more time. It's going to take a little bit more time. We can look at our latest update of what's happening up there in the stratosphere with our polar vortex. Guys, This is serious. I'll get to questions in a second. Lincoln, you are muted for the rest of the live because I literally just saw you ask the same question 30 times in a row before anyone else could comment. All right. Here is... Guys, don't be rude. You can ask a couple times, but don't be rude. I'm going to explain stuff, and then I'm going to start answering questions. Except for Julie. Tried to resubscribe and can't connect to the server. Yeah, Julie. That's TikTok. Can't recharge the coins. Can't resub. Ever since TikTok has come back, I've lost like 150 subs. I've basically lost all of my revenue on TikTok, half my subs. It's all gone since TikTok's been back. And even if they do sell to anyone in the States, I'll probably lose everything anyways. They're going to end the Creator Rewards program. So that's why I've been putting in a lot of work on YouTube and trying to grow on YouTube, because I'm about a week or two away from being monetized on YouTube. And I'm about probably 4 or 5 days away from being able to have memberships on YouTube so people can join the team on YouTube, because TikTok has just been destroyed for creators in the States. It sucks, but it is what it is. So guys, here is, but I appreciate you, Julie. Here is what is going on with our polar vortex. We've seen this happen twice, this significant twice in the last 15 years. Here's what our polar vortex, like I described last time, should kind of look like. It's already starting to stretch, as you can see. It's already starting to stretch. Here's our latest from the 18Z. Again, showing that stretch and showing a break. You can see what our 12Z wants to do here. Our 12Z wants to completely break it apart. What does this mean? We're going to have two polar vortexes. There should be one big one in the middle, but instead there's one smaller one up there, one smaller one down here. And watch as we move forward in time. I mean, look at this vortex just take over the States, guys. Look at this vortex take over the States. This... Again, should be here. Should be this one. Twin vortices. Twin vortices. Daughter vortices. So, we're still seeing it. GFS. Look at the GFS. Oh my gosh. You guys, if this polar vortex were to set up like this stratospheric polar vortex, oh my gosh. You want to talk about some heavy snow down here? Sorry, Julie, but oh my God. Mesomet, what's going on? Mesomet, thank you for the 1,500,000 roses. I'm just kidding. Mesomet, what's going on? Look at this. This is not supposed to be. This is not where our stratospheric polar vortex is supposed to be. Absolutely not. This is supposed to be over the Arctic, not over Canada and the States. So the other significant thing is our teleconnection going absolutely wild. Look at this would be an. I believe this would be an all-time low, all-time negative. This would be an all-time. Well, here, let me go to the NAO. There you go. This would be an all-time negative North Atlantic oscillation. What does that mean? That means huge, huge, huge blocking out here. This would mean a big, 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 big block out here. So as our vortex is splitting and moving that colder air down into the States, it gets trapped because it can't move east because there's a big high pressure out here blocking that from happening. These two things happening at once is why, and I don't know if you've seen this, Matt, is why you have the GFS painting 2 feet of snow from DC to Boston. Again, do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. But could it happen in this type of scenario? Technically, yes. You can see 2 feet of snow from DC to Boston. Again, yeah, probably not going to happen. But the crazier things have happened, and this is just a wild setup. This would be an all-time negative NAO. Arctic oscillation. I don't know. This would get close to record-breaking Arctic oscillation. That's our GFS. Our Euro's a little more tame. Not much more tame, but a little bit more tame. And then you got your PNA moving positive again, which favors air out east. This is a ridge building out in the west. So again, that's going to favor out east. God, this is such an incredible setup for just an insane Ohio. Guys, okay, let me put all these puzzle pieces together for you real quick, and then I'll start answering questions. This is a crazy setup. We'll look at the latest GFS just because it's the latest 18Zs out, but this can mean a lot of different things. So let's get back to here, and then I'll explain this and start taking questions. This can mean a lot of different things, but they're all going to be connected. So here's us moving forward in time. And here's that you can see our jet stream way up here to the north right now. Here is literally our jet stream way up here to the north. As we move forward in time, that thing dips very, very far south. You can see it really starting to dig down here now, so significantly moving to the south. And then you'll see a big plunge of air right there. This is just our split from the polar vortex. It's pushing south, and then you're going to start to see storms set up like this. That's because we're going to have blocking setting up out here to the east. So not only are we expecting these winter storms to begin pushing through the Ohio Valley, as you can see right here, and then slamming through the mid-Atlantic and up towards the northeast. You can see another one here, another snowstorm there, another potential snowstorm, Ohio Valley right here and up towards the mid-Atlantic, northeast. But what's happening with all these storms? Watch to the south of all these systems. You're going to have the potential for ice and severe weather to the south and to the east of all of these systems. There's one potential severe weather event. There's another one right here, and then another one right here, potentially. So this setup doesn't just put big snow into the Ohio Valley, potentially, but I think the main target for snow is going to be through here. I think it's going to be mid-Atlantic, coastal New England. But this doesn't just put snow through those regions. You're also going to be watching ice in between and the potential for 3 to 4 severe weather events down here in the southeast, because not only do we have some ridiculously cold air moving down here with the block out here, but we also have a ridge down here that doesn't really want to budge too much. You can see that in our CPC outlook here. Look at that ridge to the southeast, this very, very, very warm air to the southeast, above average air. So you're going to be having winter storms moving through this region, clashing with above average air as well. Just create, this is a recipe for a wild, wild winter ride out here. Really beginning midway through the second week of February, and honestly, this could last through most of the rest of February. If our polar vortex does split and does stay separated, I mean, again, this could extend winter. Then your groundhog was very correct about winter being extended. So that's what's going on. There's pretty good agreement in the models with this type of stuff happening. We can look at the CFS real quick, just for fun. Our experimental model. We can kind of see the same type of thing taking place here. One second, let me move this back. Let me get this situated. There we go. You see the same type of thing happening here, and there's your big push of cold air, and there's your storms that begin to ride up the eastern seaboard. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. The CFS sees the same exact thing happening. So, sorry, let me fix this over here. One second, guys. I don't know why my things keep getting messed up on. There we go. That'll have to work. Anyways, let's get into it. Oh, that's why. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to fix my layouts on here. Everything is snapping to the grid, and it's annoying me. Look at this. Look at this on TikTok. All right, chat. What's going on? What is going on here? We'll pull this up so we can take a look at what's going on with our latest GFS while we're talking. Major snow for Illinois. A lot of potentially. You may see this stuff. The major snow set up to your south and to your east. You can see right here. That would be a decent snowfall for you, though. That would be a decent snowfall for you between the 10th and the 12th. This would also be a great snowfall for you. The GFS prefers heavy snow through Illinois, and then transfers it out east. So, yeah. Illinois could get in on the fun. I think the Euro, let's see what the Euro thinks for Illinois. See, the Euro puts both of those snowfall events to the north of you, keeps the major snow here to the south of you. Same with these. So the GFS favors that snow over Illinois. The Euro keeps it a little bit to the south, but it's definitely a possibility you could see a big snowstorm from one of these. Alabama, because this kind of vortex event is happening mid to late February or mid-February, it's tough, no matter how significant this Arctic blast is, to get snow back down into the south Although it's possible with this setup, that we could see snow back into the southeast, especially Tennessee, Carolinas. There are some models that like it. Check your phone real quick. Sorry, YouTube, I see you. One second, guys. 2011 setup. Ooh, yeah. Where's 2025? We're about to have another 2011 tornado season all over again. Yeah. This tornado season's going to be wild. I agree, Matt. I agree. This vortex split, I think, happened in 2010 into 2011, the last time it happened. So it's very similar. Yeah. Insane. Yeah, Matt's pointing out we have a very similar type of setup to our big major 2011 spring tornado season where we had a huge outbreaks, very similar to this season too. This may not just be a crazy end to winter, but it might be a crazy start to spring. That's what a lot of these people are predicting. With good data on it, not just out of nowhere. How much snow is projected for Pittsburgh in the latest outlook you just showed? It depends what model you look at. We can go here. This is actually a good, I'll show you guys if you want to look at ensembles, kind of the average. Our Euro ensemble is going to be pretty good. Let's see where the Euro ensemble's really significant target for snow is going to be here. Moving forward. We'll look at the 10-1 just because this is what it's going to give us in the ensemble. And there you go. This is where the Euro ensemble thinks our snow's going. So obviously, like I said, you can see where the big target is. Right through here, parts of the mid-Atlantic Northeast. The European ensembles think no one out here has seen their biggest snowfall yet. Like I've been saying for, I don't know, 3 weeks now. But you could see a decent target through, and you could see the dark blues as well, through here as well. And then obviously what we have this atmospheric river and a bunch of stuff moving through the Pacific Northwest as well. So now I will say this. Our GFS likes a big snowfall through this region. So the GFS would probably highlight this area a little bit more. Let me go look. Actually, let's look. GFS ensemble. You can see with the GFS ensemble, you can see it, the darker pinks here and the darker blues. I knew the GFS would highlight this. So this is another target area for the GFS. But look where the GFS and Euro agree, guys. Look at this region up here. Look at this region up here. Look at this region up here. Now, you can see them wanting to get snow back down into the south. You can see that here. You can see it on the Euro as well. Sorry, that's the 18Z. Let's go back to the 12Z. This means we have model runs that bring snow down here. Why is there a shade down here? That means certain European model runs put snow down here. There's not a ton of them that do it. That's why it's a light gray and not. This represents right here. We have a ton of models that put a ton of snow in these areas. So we can look at our probabilities map. I know people like to look at that. Probabilities winner. Here's of seeing an inch or more of snow. This is what our Euro thinks of the chances the areas that have a chance of seeing an inch or more of snow basically over the next 2 weeks. You can see where that's highlighted right there. It's pretty far south. Especially for mid-February. Could we see it shift farther south? Potentially. There's a ridge sitting down here, which is going to disrupt this area. It still thinks areas like Charlotte have close to a 50% chance of seeing an inch or more of snow accumulation. Most of Oklahoma, Arkansas, Nashville, it likes a 60 to 70% chance of some good accumulation. So, obviously, everywhere up here is pretty high. Now, this is what's interesting to me. Here is where our European ensemble thinks there's a chance you could see a foot or more of snowfall in the next 2 weeks. Again, look at this region up here. Look at this. And this, that's a lot of snow. Here's where it thinks you could receive 1.5 feet or more of snow. This is what the Euro ensembles think could receive 1.5 feet, 18 inches plus or more of snow. Big target up here. So here's your 3-inch line. Obviously, you got Chicago, Detroit in there. A lot of Ohio, Illinois, Indiana. So that's what's going on with that. Canadian ensemble, you can see where it wants to put that foot of snow as well. Potentially these regions here. So, but again, this is going to change a little bit. That can shift around. But that's where we have it right now, and it makes sense with this pattern we have. It It couldn't make any more sense with the pattern we have with that with the extremely negative AO and that polar vortex dipping, and the PNA going neutral to positive is going to shift that snow farther out east. How long do you think the snow is going to last? Well, Claudia, if the GFS is correct, the GFS is correct. That snow is going to last for weeks because the GFS wants to dump 2 feet of snow from DC to Boston or DC up through coastal Maine. Again, that's on the high end. I doubt that'll happen. But not only would that dump a lot of snow, on your GFS run, but you'd have a ton of cold air settling in right behind it. This is a hypothetical because, this is too far out to call. But if you did see this type of snow system here, your cold air isn't done. Slight warm up and then a big dig of cold air behind it. That's going to replace that warm air. So hypothetically, your snow could last well into March if the GFS were to be correct. And if the Euro's correct, and the Euro thinks a foot of snow from DC to Boston, I think that snow line might move north of Maryland, though. I hate to say it, but we'll see. That could last into March as well, depending on, if I showed you guys in my TikTok today, in my video, in my YouTube video, the polar vortex breaking apart, splitting. This doesn't happen very often where we're going to get 2 separate vortices instead of one, and one wants to move over North America. And if that happens, it's going to support that snow on the ground for a very long time. This is what I put, polar vortex split. This is what I put in my video. Severe weather Europe. This was an article from today, guys. This explains it well. Okay. A strong stratospheric warming event, and this is a weather publication. A strong stratospheric warming event is starting to appear in the forecast for February. Stratospheric warming doesn't mean hot air for us. That means stratospheric warming disrupts your stratospheric polar jet and pushes that cold air down. Okay. So a strong stratospheric warming event is starting to appear in the forecast for a while. Europe's been seeing this for a little bit because this is going to affect Europe too. Europe could see some crazy winter things happening with this. This plunges cold air into Europe as well. It shows a weakening and a split of the polar vortex. This usually creates daughter vortices, which I showed you guys. What do daughter vortices look like? Ooh, we're going to see them. Like they said in the movie Twisters, we got twins. We're going to have twins, and it's going to be twin polar vortexes. Again, here's your daughter vortices. That's not right. This is supposed to only be one of those. We got twins, guys. So this usually creates daughter vortices in the stratosphere, of which one is forecast to move over, drum roll please, North America. That's where we are, by the way. Impacting the weather pattern over the United States and Canada. Well, hey, that might be one and the same soon. Am I right? I'm just kidding. So yes, so they're kind of highlighting it here. They have some other interesting things in this article. The polar vortex extends high up in the atmosphere. The lowest level of the atmosphere is called the troposphere, blah, 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 blah. Anyone who watches my lives knows this. We separate the entire polar vortex into our upper, which is our stratospheric polar vortex, and our lower tropospheric polar vortex. And when you have warm air move here, let's see. I'm trying to see if they explain this in a good way here. They show this, which I showed you guys. This is a normal looking polar vortex in the stratosphere. This is when you're building up cold air. They're calling it a very robust and organized circulation. See, they use much better terminology than me. But sometimes we get a significant disruption into that circulation, which is forecast to happen. And when that happens, and they're highlighting this here, which I've showed you, and we get warm air building and pushing up into the Arctic, suddenly you get a mass disruption in that polar vortex, and it starts to wobble and it starts to break. And what can happen? This can happen, which is what I just showed you as well. And this right here is significant. So let me see if this starts a substantial stratospheric warming event and an important weakening for this time of year. Any large-scale pressure changes in the stratosphere, especially of this magnitude, can mean substantial winter impacts down the line. This doesn't just impact you right away. This stratospheric polar vortex break like this can take your winter that want it to end early March and just extend it into mid-April. Doesn't mean you're going to be cold all the way through mid-April, but can give you the chance for late season snow, late season cold blasts. These are just the current forecast, but all, keyword, all forecasts show a prevailing trend of a split polar vortex core moving into North America. Guys, this is not something you see very often. We've had significant polar vortex splits like 3 times in my life. We've had splits, stretches, kind of separations. This is a significant split. Such a split of the polar vortex usually means a high pressure area will build over the polar circle. As the polar vortex splits, the remaining cores and cold air move towards the mid latitudes. By the way, we live in the mid latitudes. The U.S. is in the mid latitudes. If you're north of Florida and southern Texas, that's the subtropics. In this case, we see one core move over Asia and one core move over Canada and the United States. This would still affect Europeans' weather, though. Weather impact from the stratosphere. Sudden warming basically means a strong temperature and pressure rise in the stratosphere. This causes a major disruption in the circulation. As a result, it starts to collapse the polar vortex. When you hear of a polar vortex collapse, this is it. This is a polar vortex collapse. Okay. Anyways, I think you guys get the point. Okay, so you can also see the warm anomalies over the polar circle. Yeah, here's the Arctic heating up, cooking, which replaced the cold air that was pushed down. That polar Arctic air is now suddenly stuck here in the U.S. With, by the way, do you guys see out here to the east? This is a negative AO, a negative NAO, North Atlantic Oscillation. So our cold air is trapped now. What an event. What an event. They explain it pretty well here. I think I do a better job, but just showing you that the article agrees with me. Okay? So that's what's going on. None to freak out about. And no, it's exciting stuff for winter lovers. And anyone who likes seeing, weather records broken. So I hate the cold. See, it's horrible for Claudia. Ice storm on Thursday for North Detroit. Different models show different things. Our GFS does show it, yes. Again, I'm not going to predict your ice totals. I'm not going to predict your ice totals until about 24 hours out because they're going to be wrong. But here's your target ice area. Euro has something similar. So if you're in these areas, expect a disruption to travel. And don't plan on being on the road. Honestly, if you don't have to. Some people, you have no choice. Hopefully these cities like Chicago, Detroit, Pittsburgh, DC, Baltimore, Philly up to Boston, New York City are preparing and icing these roads significantly before this. Connor, could we see a lot of snow for Long Island soon? Yes. Nick, if you've been paying attention, I've circled that area probably 18 times. What is it saying for snow totals in Kansas? You have, again, I believe the GFS model likes a lot of snow into Kansas. You can see one snowstorm here into Kansas and a second one here. And potentially a third one right there. So it depends what model you look at. The GFS does like some heavy snow into this region right here. The Euro, not so much. The Euro likes our storms to originate farther out to the east like this. So it's kind of up in the air. In central Santiago, so if the polar vortex breaks and we bring down very cold air, do you think we'll have snow in the south? Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to break. I think that's almost every model shows it now. It's not guaranteed, but it's very likely to happen. That's what's giving you a possible chance for a big snowstorm down in the south again. I mean, this type of event is what allows you to get snow in the south later in the season. So it doesn't guarantee it. But what's my favorite weather movie? The Day After Tomorrow. It's a very unrealistic movie. It's very exaggerated and hyper-realism, but I love climatology. It basically says it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous movie. It's like climate change and global warming, but it happens in 3 days. And we go into an ice age in 3 days. It takes like thousands of years to go into an ice age. But I love climatology, and that movie really digs into climatology, and I think it's cool. It's obviously ridiculous, but that's why I thought it was cool. It's good. Vanessa, Mama 3, Marina, Suzette, what's going on? Chris, Vanessa, Andrew. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I was going so much into that stuff. Tamara, Suzette, Claudia. Felice and Claudia. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you for any follows and subs too. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, I love the day after tomorrow. The climatology that they talk about in it is so cool, even though it's super exaggerated and ridiculous. Is Central Ohio going to see significant amount of freezing rain? Again, you could. I would prepare like you're going to, because it's possible. Could we see a lot of snow for long? Yep, I answered that. I know it's still far out, but what is your take on a big snowstorm for New York, Long Island? Yeah, I mean, Kyle, if you've been watching the stream, you know I've probably shown 18 times where the big target for big snow here is. Someone out here is going to get huge snow. It's not our big blizzard is not in forecastable range, so I'm not going to give you a probability of it. But all of our ensembles and all of our model runs favor this region right here for heavy snow mid-February into late February, and this region. And they want to put some good snow in here, and then they like that snow up here as well. So a lot of different regions that they like snow in. I'd say this is your A++ region for snow, mid to late February. This is an A+. This is probably like a B+. This is, I think, yeah, this is like a B+. You could get some good snow through here. And this is like an A++ as well. So not impossible to get snow through here. Not impossible to get snow farther south. But these are your main regions that we're watching right there. And obviously these are the big highlights here, here, and here. But my bad, watch my Knicks. So in the south will be hammered by severe weather. Yeah, with this is going to come a lot of severe weather in the south, guys. Yes. Snow. Does someone ask, is there going to be snow in Vail, Colorado on Friday? You know, predicting snow in the mountains is crazy because they make their own snow. But yeah, I mean, we are expecting a decent low pressure to move across the Rockies, Utah, Colorado, Friday into Saturday morning. So that should be good snow for a lot of those ski mountains in Utah and Colorado, Friday into Saturday. It should be, yeah. You know, especially because you can kind of see your trough dipping down, so there'll be a more. You'll have a better snow ratio likely. I know people keep asking about up here in the Pacific Northwest. What are we going to get snow into Seattle? You can still see the low elevation snow. These models wanting to bring low elevation snow Wednesday into Thursday into Seattle and Portland. So it still looks like a possibility. You're going to have that troughing digging down into the Pacific Northwest. So you have snow moving over, and now your temperatures at the surface are cold enough. So that very well, this right here very well is Saturday into Sunday could be a decent amount of snow on the ground in Seattle. Actually, like Seattle, not in the mountains around it. Snow in Baltimore, Maryland. Again, if you've been paying attention, our models love snow in the mid-Atlantic, mid-February to late February. You know, someone's going to get cut off from snow in here, and it's going to be ice or mixing. We'll see where these snowstorms want, how far north or south they want to shift. Just got here? What's going on? Jorge, I'm guessing. Just got home from Mobile, Alabama. Wait, just got home from Mobile, Alabama. Till we receive some more. How long till we receive some more snow? I don't think Mobile, Alabama is going to see any more snow this year, but it's not impossible. Hi from North Alabama. Are we getting snow? Listen, major blast of cold air returning to you guys as we get into mid-February. Will it be deep enough to bring snow into your region? Some models think you'll have a chance, but you know, our European ensemble probability thinks you guys have about a 10 to 20% chance in northern Alabama. Juju, I appreciate it. Do you think northern VA could get a foot of snow next week? Next week? With one of these systems? Yeah, could. Out of forecasting range, though. I mean, you're really in a lot of Virginia's. You could. It's out of forecasting range though. So with this setup, you could. I can't dig in too much into something that's that far out. Claudia, I appreciate it. You too. So in this, let's see. How's it been? The Jersey Railroad, what's going on? It's been good. I've been working a lot lately. Tired all the time. But that's life. Tired all the time. That's why I have a Red Bull fridge next to me full of Red Bull. This is my third of the day. Energy drink, not Red Bull. It's my superpower. I'm perma-tired. But I never sleep. It's like I have a perma-buzz from being tired. IKEA, I appreciate you. Thank you. Oh, that's a cool looking rose. What the heck? It's like a bouquet. Is that for Valentine's Day? When is this happening? Our big polar vortex break? This bad boy right here? Well, the big split is expected to happen February 9th to the 11th. Now, when this happens, there's going to be a lag. So, again, that's why about a week after is when we, I think, could see the biggest effects to 2 weeks after. And then these effects could really, really extend and push later into the season. This happened in 2018. Let me see if I can show you guys an article on that. 2018 polar vortex split. I wonder if I can actually show you that on the reanalyzer. Let me see something real quick here, guys. Let me see if I can show you something here. What happens when you get a polar vortex split based on a year it happened? Can I go to 2018? Okay, don't show. Okay, can we go to just 2018? Okay. I don't know if this is going to really show us a good representation here because we would need to just see the states. Northern Hemisphere. Okay. 1 second, guys. I want to see if I can show you what this looks like. 2018 Northern Hemisphere. Is this going to give us a good look here? It's tough to tell in here because I would need to compare this to other years. 2023, much warmer. It's going to be hard to see on the reanalyzer. I need time to set that up to show you guys. But it did happen in 2018, and we had much colder weather than we should have in the States, extending into April. Let's see here. Every snow prediction has been wrong by a mile this winter in Minnesota. Well, to be fair, the reason it's been very wrong, although Minnesota's snow season is not over. You guys on the GFS and both the GFS and Euro, like you guys getting, potentially 6 inches to a foot here in the next week or two. So, but again, you guys are going to underperform. Going into this winter, the CPC was terribly wrong. The CPC is right more than they're wrong on average with their outlooks. But people ask the CPC, the Climate Prediction Center, and NOAA to give winter outlooks like 6 months in advance. They're asking for something impossible. But a month in advance, 2 months in advance isn't crazy, but like 6 months is crazy. Or 4 or 5 months is crazy. They predicted we would be in a moderate La Nina. We've been in an Enso neutral and kind of just entered a weak La Nina. So a lot of people made their forecast for what the Minnesota snow season would look like, what the Minnesota winter season would look like based on the fact that we thought we would be in a moderate La Nina. And we pretty much didn't even get out of an Enso neutral, and we're just entering a weak La Nina. That's why your snow forecast bombed. The Enso, and that's hard to predict because that has to do with the surface temperature waters in the eastern equatorial Pacific that were just forecast wrong. Because we forecast the water temperatures in the Pacific Ocean wrong, surface water temperature in the Pacific Ocean wrong, our jet stream didn't do what we thought it would, meaning this was a bust on snow up here for earlier in the season when it was being predicted in September and October. So it's easy to explain why they predict it wrong, but it's tough. They got it really wrong. 2010, 2011 is the last time it happened. Christy, polar vortex split. We saw it happen in 2018. we saw a significant one, I believe, in 2010 as well. You can see a stretch and a minor split every 2 to 3 years, but a major split like being projected like this, where you get just a big gaping hole of heat in between these two separate polar vortexes. This is much different. This is what more significant. What was really significant about the 2010 year as well is how low, how negative our NAO went. Which, look at our NAO here, especially on the GFS. This would be the lowest, the most negative it's been since 2010, 15 years. And that's what really amplified 2010. Yeah. So, what was the 2010 snowfall in Philly? One sec, guys. Although it might have been 2009 into 10 or 10 into 11. Oh, yeah. Okay, so 30 inches of snow in Philly. Yeah, outperformed. About a foot and a half over Philly's average. And that is when, again, we had, that is when we had, over a 5-day period from February 5th to the 11th, the city was buried under 44 inches of snow. Oh, there was more recently a storm in 2010 dropped 29 inches of snow in Philadelphia. So over a 5-day period, Philly got 44 inches of snow. When did that happen? When this happened, which is being forecast, and when, again, not to just hammer this home, guys, but this exact setup that dropped 44 inches in Philly, this is the exact type of setup that did it. Polar vortex split and an extremely negative NAO. Not saying Philly's going to get 44 inches of snow before the end of February. Probably won't. Let's be honest. But this is the type of setup that does crazy things to the Mid-Atlantic. And potentially the Ohio Valley, Northeast. We'll see if it digs into the Southeast. But there you go. What does a polar vortex do? You have a stratospheric polar vortex and a tropospheric polar vortex. And your stratospheric... Okay, so super quickly, guys, and I'll get back to answering everyone's questions. Here's planet Earth. Okay, you have multiple jet streams. You have your kind of subtropical jet stream down here, which is just winds moving like this. This is propelled by a constant low pressure near the equator down here. And because because it's so hot down here, you just have constant convection and evaporation and condensing of moisture, which speeds up, which holds a low pressure down here, which speeds up the winds. This is your subtropical jet stream. Then you have a polar jet up here that stays much farther to the north. You can have a mid-latitude jet, but a polar jet that typically stays much farther to the north, holding in a lot of this cold air up here. And in between here, that's why you can get a lot of the polar. When you get the polar jet and your subtropical jet clashing, that's when you get big winter storms and severe weather outbreaks a lot, which is kind of what's been happening. Kind of happened a little bit in January. Expected to happen again in February. But up here, you have what's called a polar vortex, which is a super fast. It's so cold up here in the Arctic, you get kind of what's called like a cold core high, and surrounding it, you have a super low pressure, and it's just a circular. It's basically its own jet stream that is circling the Arctic, and the lower that pressure is, the faster that jet stream's moving, and it holds in all the coldest air on the planet right in here. It holds it in. And then that's in the troposphere. As you go up to the stratosphere, it's the same type of thing. The stratosphere is even more significant though. But sometimes you get some warm air some ridging wanting to push up, just because of certain, events happening around the climate. You get some ridging wanting to push up into your Arctic and bring some heat up there that really shouldn't be up here. And it starts to slow down this polar jet. And when this polar jet begins to slow, your stratospheric and tropospheric polar jet begins to slow, it begins to elongate, it begins to wobble. So instead of having a polar jet like this, you get a polar jet that looks like this instead, and it's very awkward. And sometimes this will get so thin, it'll break off into multiple polar jets, which is rare, but it happens. And that is what's happening here. Too much heat's getting up there in the Arctic. We're going to have a high pressure building, and it's going to split our polar jet in half and move that air that should be over the Arctic down into the south. And then with a big block out here, you're set up for major winter storms, major cold air here later into the season and an extended winter. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the subs, guys. We got 2 feet of snow over 2 weeks in March of 2011. Okay, so you see that, guys? You can get big snowstorms in March, too. Yeah. Maybe it was February 2010. It might have been, Christy. You can get major snowstorms much farther into winter than you think. Sometimes even early April when you get this type of split. So, how much snow expected for central New Jersey on Wednesday? I know models want to put like a little dab of snow in there. Let's see what our latest GFS thinks. These totals have been going up a little bit, surprisingly. Our latest GFS thinks not really central Jersey. Maybe central Jersey gets an inch. But central to northern Jersey, 1 to 2 inches. I don't know. I think that's hopeful. We can see what our latest Euro thinks on that. Our latest European model thinks nothing. I think our Euro is going to do a little bit better on that. We can take a look at our NAM. What does our NAM think for Jersey? Our NAM brings that snow way far to the south. I'm not going to believe our NAM. Our NAM's done terrible this year. I think our HRRR is a little bit too far out, but let me see if our HRRR is picking up on it yet. Our HRRR thinks the snow could be to the south, almost agreeing with the NAM. Not much model consensus on it, though. I wouldn't expect much in Jersey at all. But just because our Euro's done the best so far, even in the short term, and our Euro doesn't like it down there. But the potential's there. The potential's there. There's going to be a mixing and ice issue, I think, with this system. One sec, guys. What is Upper Wisconsin looking like? Georgia was 74 today. Talk about weird. Yeah. Georgia's going to receive even more heat moving forward. You got a couple different looks here. Our Euro 12Z. Here's our Euro. Let's go to our Euro 12Z. Here's our Kuchera from our Euro 12Z, Wisconsin, over the next week. I mean, you can see. Central to northern Wisconsin wants to get hammered with like a foot of snow. And if you really trust this model farther out, most of Wisconsin gets buried. And then on our GFS, it has a little bit different of a picture. Here's our GFS with Wisconsin. Actually keeps more of the major snow into the central to south region and buries Chicago and cities like potentially Omaha and Iowa, state of Iowa. St. Louis would get in on that, Kansas City. So slight disagreement here. Slight disagreement there. Northern California and the Sierra Nevada, or in the Sierra Mountains. I mean, your guys' snow isn't even trackable right now. You're getting so much. How much has fallen so far? I mean, you guys are projected to get another 40 inches, maybe, in the highest elevations. Lowest elevation of the mountains, maybe 15. Supposed to keep slapping the Sierra Nevadas. And then over the next 5 days, you can see totals pushing up even higher into the 50, 60 inches, 80 inches, 90 inches in some areas. Huge snow for the Sierra Nevadas. Huge snow. Mass, you can see what it's doing up here over our 5 day period. 5 to 7 day period. Wants almost 6 inches for the entire state of Mass, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. I saw someone ask about that. Our European model likely is going to look a little bit different out there. Not really. The European model also likes 6 to 8 inches for Mass. Pulls a little bit of that snow out of Rhode Island and Connecticut. 4 to 6 down there on the Euro. Fox. Kelly Faust. Kelly R. What's going on? Summer, Laddie, Amina, Pearson. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I need a Red Bull. Grab one. You don't have always keep a Red Bull fridge next to you. Why does Jersey always miss or split something or nothing? Amy, hold on to that thought for 2 weeks and then come back into my stream and I doubt you'll be saying, why does Jersey always miss? because there's a big target for snow on Jersey, and there's about 4 different snowstorms that want to put 6 inches to a foot into Jersey. If even one of those happens, you'll be happy. The Mid-Atlantic and New England look primed for snow. So you're right. As of recent, Mid-Atlantic huge underperformances, but I'd hold that thought for about 14 days, and then let me know if you think Jersey always misses, because we'll see. There's a scenario where Jersey just gets buried in February here. Or you maybe you completely miss. Maybe the Euro and GFS tilt everything 500 miles to the north and we miss. It's a possibility. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Jersey's due for a big one here with this pattern. Any snow for Albany, New York? You know what? I'm going to go back to what I was showing you guys earlier. Go back to what I was showing you guys earlier. We love our ensembles because our ensembles show us all of the runs combined. All of the runs combined. All of the possibilities. So, and they're painting a very similar picture. We have to do 10 to 1 because it's our ensemble. So here is our Euro. Tell me where you think has the biggest target on it for snow in February. I mean, the mountains, obviously, out west. They literally have 3-4 low pressures moving in an atmospheric river right now. So this is, and a lot of this is heavy mountain snow. But again, Mid-Atlantic, I mean, look at this. Obviously, some good snow up here. But look at these bright whites. Look at what's happening up there in the Northeast. But here's what's significant about this. That's the Euro. That's the GFS. Look at the Northeast. That's the Canadian. There is no disagreement. They all. Oops, sorry. That's not what I was going for. That took me back to the 18Z, so it doesn't show all the way out. They all are bullseyeing right here. Right here, bullseye. So Sierra Nevada's going crazy. Was I calling this the Cascades yesterday? Cascades are up here, Sierra Nevada. Sierra Nevada, Cascades. Yeah, I get my mountain ranges mixed up sometimes. Sierra Nevada, Cascades. There we go. So, when is this? Now, these are our European ensembles through the next 2 weeks. So, I can show you guys something interesting here. Just if you guys, I'll show you what makes up an ensemble like this. When we send up twice a day weather balloons into the atmosphere, thousands of weather balloons across our country, and we look at and we add in radar and satellite data into this stuff. We plug all this data into an algorithm, and these separate models algorithms, and they create a bunch of the most what these models think is the most likely scenario. Typically, one of those scenarios ends up being what happens. It's hard to tell which one's going to be correct, but we can look at all the scenarios that they see. So let me show you something here. Let's look at all members. It's going to be hard for you guys to see this, but let me see if I can zoom in. Okay. It's just going to be hard for you to see it. Okay, you can kind of see it here. So here's 12Z and out. I'll show you some of the models that stand out to me that would be really, really crazy events. This model right here, I mean, gives snow to everyone, including big snow down into Tennessee and parts of North Carolina. Huge snow into the Mid-Atlantic, huge snow into parts of the Ohio Valley and Midwest. This one right here just buries parts of the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. Obviously buries parts of the Northern Plains. Crazy, crazy snow. Brings some snow down into Texas. All these models bury the Mid-Atlantic. Let's just be honest. They all bury the Mid-Atlantic in snow. The Mid-Atlantic's buried in snow. These are the only ones that don't have the Mid-Atlantic so far. There are some, again, there's farther down into the Carolinas. Again, Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast. There's some models. I want to see if there's any models. So there's a model here. This is one of the outcomes that brings snow back down into central Texas and into Charlotte out towards Raleigh. That's one of the European runs thinks that's a possibility. This is a very interesting look right here. Model run number 15. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that wants to bring a foot of snow back into northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, northern Georgia. Take this, like I always say, with a grain of salt. I'm just showing you what all the different runs come out with. This run right here wants to bring heavy snow back down to northern Georgia, northern South Carolina, and Charlotte. This one likes snow back down to the southeast as well. So there are some that like snow back down to the southeast. These ones that I'm kind of highlighting here bring that snow a little bit farther down to the south. The huge model consensus across all these different runs, though, is I'll circle all the ones that don't kind of bury the mid-Atlantic. So you've got like 1, 2, kind of this one. There's not very many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. About 7 out of 25 runs. Don't see the Mid-Atlantic getting big snow. So this is interesting to look at. You can go look at the GFS runs as well on this. Our GFS ensembles. 1 second. Let me go here. 25. We'll go to our show snow total all members. The GFS really likes snow farther into the south. You can see some of these runs putting snow deep into the south on the GFS. The GFS really also likes heavy snow into Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Iowa, that type of region. Is my phone ringing? Oh, yeah. But the GFS as well really likes the Mid-Atlantic as a target here. So that's what's going on with that. Let me get back out of here. But this is all of your model runs put together, basically. What it averages out to. Hi, snow yet for Tennessee? Well, our European ensemble thinks you have a chance here. So does our GFS ensemble. GFS ensemble actually puts the snow a little bit to the north, but still gives you a chance for snow. And the Canadian and Euro both like snow back into Tennessee in February. What's the furthest weather? Well, there's models that show out a month, but nothing's going to be accurate past, precipitation, exactly where it falls in totals isn't going to be accurate more than like 4 days out. But you can look at these models, especially the ensembles, and you can see where the signal for the most snow is to fall. Based on the way our atmosphere is setting up, you would, with the NAO going negative, a big blocking pattern out here, with the PNA going neutral to positive, meaning ridging out here, this is where the cold air and the snow wants to funnel into. So you can kind of see that based on the teleconnection look and our what's going on with our polar vortex, stratospheric vortex, where it wants to settle in, which is what these models are looking at. What days specifically should we see severe weather in the south? Well, yeah, what's my percentage? Here's your percentage. The Euro is the best model, so we'll look at the percentage of seeing. They give almost all of Tennessee a 40 to 70% chance of seeing more accumulation this winter. Or not this winter, just in the next 2 weeks. Because I think March could be interesting as well. Alrighty. Sorry, I was losing. What was I saying? I just lost my train of thought. Brittany, I appreciate you. Jody, love. Rachel, Christy, thank you guys. Angela. How's Chicago looking for that? Oh, I was talking about severe weather. How's Chicago looking for the next 2 weeks? The GFS likes a ton of snow in Chicago. The Euro keeps most of it to the south. The GFS buries Chicago in snow. I'm talking like 1.5 feet. Both globals and the Canadian, they all put snow into Chicago. They disagree on how much. Yeah, so severe weather, if we were to take a look, days, you can see the GFS gives a chance for. I don't think this would be too severe. This would just be your average thunderstorms right here moving forward. I don't think this is going to be any sort of severe outbreak. Wednesday into Thursday. So this just isn't a setup. This is a zonal flow. You're not going to get a big severe weather outbreak with a zonal flow. This right here could end up being a severe weather day in the southeast. Not a big negatively tilting trough. Probably not much. This is an interesting look right here. This is an interesting look right here between the 11th and the 13th. So this is next week, about 7-8 days out. This could be a significant severe weather day or days. And then right behind it right here as well. So we could see 2-3 severe weather events potentially between the 11th and like the 17th or 18th. Multiple severe weather events there. Nothing significant looming right now. This looked more significant. It's not looking as much right now. How's our Euro see this? Our Euro still likes the chance for severe weather through the Ohio Valley on Wednesday evening into Thursday. So this is an area to watch for some severe weather through here. I'll extend the circle out a little bit. Wednesday evening through Thursday morning. Here, 1 second, guys. Do you think Central Arkansas still has a possibility for snow? There's plenty of runs that still put snow in Central Arkansas. Yeah, it definitely does. Arkansas is not out of the equation at all. What is the chance you think Long Island gets snow in the next 2 weeks? Like, I would say like an 80 to a 90% chance. Very high. Very high. I almost want to put it at 100%. I just don't want to be, I know there's a small chance you could avoid it, but it's very small. Rachel Christie, I appreciate you guys. Traveling upstate New York for my son's birthday, February 20th. Does it look bad? Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen 2.5 weeks from now. Or over 2 weeks from now. If you want to look at what the models say at that period of time, you can, but these models don't know what's going to happen. Then these models think a bunch of moisture and heat is heading up there on the 20th, but these models don't know nothing. None of these models knows what's going to happen that far out, unfortunately. Chrissy, I appreciate you. I wish I had a better answer for you, but yeah, I mean, there's people. Oh my gosh, Brittany, are you in here? There's some people on still looking good Gulf Coast, Florida, upcoming weekend. I think it is. Look at that. Dry. It's looking dry and warm. I mean, listen, subtropics, you're always going to have a chance for some moisture. But overall, it's not looking too bad. Really, I mean, yeah, not looking too bad at all. It's looking nice. It's looking warm and dry. Brittany, oh my gosh. There are some people. Shalom, what's going on? Check my New York City area for GFS. It looks wild. Oh, I know it looks wild. You guys want to see what the GFS is doing? Our latest update of the GFS on our Cuchero snow totals. Take that with what you will. Anywhere you see this dark pink, this is all like 1.5 feet, and this is like over 2 feet, the orange. This is guys, this is a ridiculous look. But no, yeah, some of these, I don't know, I shouldn't even say it. There are just too many content creators, weather content creators, who go to the end of these runs and then make a video and say, you're going to get 2 feet of snow. Yes. Does the GFS show 2 feet of snow from DC to Boston here? Yes. Do I think that's going to happen? No. Give it less than a 1% chance of happening. But do I think this is the target for some major snowstorms here moving into mid to late February? Yeah. That being said, snow for Hudson Valley, New York, another good area to be. This Thursday, yeah, we're going to look at the Euro on that. We're not going to look at the GFS. I think the GFS is way overdoing it. Our Euro likes Hudson Valley 1 to 4 inches. There's going to be a mixing issue in Hudson Valley, I think, in the Hudson Valley. First, I just tell the truth about weather. Brianna, I appreciate that. Uh, I mean, I don't want to make crazy. I don't want to hype anything. I don't want to hype any of you guys up too much and then have you be disappointed and come back and yell at me. Trying to tell you the truth. Do you think hurricane season will be active this year? It should. Well, yes. We're projected to be in an Enso neutral or weak La Nina. What does that mean? That means our subtropical jet is weakened. When our subtropical jet is weakened, so when you're in an El Nino, you got a strong subtropical jet. This creates a ton of wind shear through this region. As your cyclones, hurricanes move through this region, they're torn apart by wind shear. When you're Enso neutral, especially if we're still in a weak La Nina, this jet stream is kind of wobbled farther to the north, and you're just clear, just come right through, slam into the States. We've had our most significant hurricane seasons on average in an Enso neutral weak La Nina year. So, yes, historically and on average, yes, this year would favor an above average hurricane season and an above average spring tornado season as well. These Enso neutrals patterns are wacky in all aspects of everything. I like to yell at you, yeah. Elizabeth, I appreciate it. Scooty, Zoma, thank you guys. What percent would you give the snowstorm for the Northeast the 11th to the 13th? It's pretty far out. I think there's a 100% chance this snowstorm happens in the Northeast. 100% chance this snowstorm happens in the Northeast, 11th to the 13th. The question is, how does it track? Is it actually going to track like this? This could very easily be farther, more of an inland New England system. Or, I think this is a less possibility, it could track farther to the south. You're not going to get the exact tracking you see in the future radar that far out. But we do have 4 global models agreeing on this full model consensus. So this storm is going to set up how much, how tilted is this trough? Is it more of an Ohio Valley inland New England storm or more of a mid-Atlantic southern storm? I think that's the question. But I'm very, very confident in that setting up. I am very confident in that setting up. I mean, honestly, if you take a look at the GFS now, the time range for that system forming, getting in under 180 hours. So we'll have to see how it tracks. Yeah, Seattle still looks like it could get low elevation snow Wednesday, Thursday. When do you think snow will mix to rain and other things other than snow? And what do you think it's... Wait, I don't understand the question, Jordan. Do you think schools in Baltimore will be closed on Thursday? I doubt it. No, I doubt it. I mean, I guess they could for ice, but they're not going to do that until at least 12 hours, 24 hours out, because ice is extremely hard to predict. Menasha, Wisconsin. Where's that? Menasha? I'm probably saying it wrong. So just southwest of Green Bay. For what date? Hold up. Hopefully there's 2 inches here in Maryland. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Euro is going to be right, and that snow is going to be the north. Wait, Menasha, Wisconsin. Wait, what was the question? I'm trying to go back up and find your question here. Oh, on Saturday? This upcoming Saturday, I wonder if our models agree on that. I don't think they do. I do not think they do, because the European and GFS don't agree on where the snow falls in Wisconsin. The GFS keeps it north. The Euro actually takes it south. So Saturday, okay, so here we go. This upcoming Saturday, I mean, our GFS likes just a couple inches through central Wisconsin. That would maybe put 2 inches into that area. And then our Euro, let's see what our Euro thinks for you. Our Euro wants to put a foot of snow. I would say 6 to 9 inches, if not more, where you live. Hey, the Euro's the better snow model. So right now I'd favor 6 inches or more in your area. Just because if the Euro's favoring it at that latitude, I'm favoring it. I'm Team Euro at that latitude. Everyone knows it. Carolina. What about North Carolina? Joyce, I appreciate you. I mean, North Carolina still has a shot for snow. There's some models that bring snow back into Charlotte up towards Raleigh. You can see that's why the European Ensemble has that highlighted there. Appalachia is going to see more snow. Probably significant snow in February. It's the question of can we get it back down to low elevation. You'll get the cold air back down there, but can we get the snow back down to low elevation is a big question. And we'll know a little bit more soon. This Vortex break is happening, though. Appreciate the follows. Appreciate the subs, guys. Give me 1 second here. Un momento, por favor. Lo siento, mi español es no bueno. Okay, wait, 1 second. One second, guys. 1 second. 1 second. Almost done. Almost done. Okay. All right. Sorry. Richmond, Virginia. What do you think about what? Are we just talking about snow? Yeah, you know. I always forget. Is Richmond like... Yeah, Richmond's like right there in the middle. Yeah, a lot of these snowstorms want to favor just to the north of Richmond. But Richmond still... You can see on this Euro Ensemble layout, too. It's going to be close to getting some good snowstorms in February. We'll see. We'll see. You know, these snowstorms typically track north of even where the Ensemble shows. But with this polar vortex break, I just have this feeling that the storms might track actually farther south. I think there's going to be more cold air available down here in the States, and especially out there in the East, than these models are even presuming, because they're not doing, I think, too well with that stratospheric polar vortex break split. How many inches of snow is Minnesota getting Saturday? Minnesota's a huge state. So, I mean, you can see here. Southern Minnesota on Saturday, our GFS thinks could get anywhere from 3 to 6 inches, and while northern Minnesota gets nothing. Here is our Euro. Our Euro wants to put central Minnesota, including the Twin Cities, under a foot of snow on Saturday. Again, this is the Euro's a better model, so this could be big. The Euro's favoring heavy snow into the Twin Cities on Saturday. I think it's probably overestimating it, but it may not be. Why is this? I don't understand why this thing snaps like that. Oh, is it snapping to the top of my... Oh, that's annoying. Let me fix this 1 second, guys. I gotta fix this on TikTok. It's snapping to the top of my... Oh. Alright, so let's go like that and then see if it... Oh. I see. Much better. Sorry, I had to fix that. That was annoying me. Southeast South Dakota. There's a lot of south there. Yeah, Euro likes just a few inches for you guys on that with that Saturday storm. Skiing in Western New York Saturday. Where'd he go? Where'd that go? What's the snow accumulation looking like? Western New York. Again, we'll stick with our Euro. Uh, if are you talking about like this is the Adirondacks up there, right? One second. Adirondacks. Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the Adirondacks, the Euro likes a decent amount of snow there. Nothing major. Maybe 6 inches, but that could be a decent look for you guys. Let's actually go by. Let's do this. Let's do snow. Let's do 24-hour snowfall for Saturday. So let's move through and then let's look at it like this. I mean, yeah, I mean, you could maybe, I mean, 6 inches to a foot is possible if the Euro's correct. That's a big if, though. That's a big if. We can take a look at how our GFS handles this. By the way, our 00Z, the GFS is loading in. Our GFS is handling this. GFS likes a decent amount of snow, too. Probably a good ski day in the Adirondacks, yeah. If that's where you're skiing. Is Aspen, Colorado going to get any snow? I used to have a shirt that said, from Aspen, that says, how's your Aspen? You know what I mean? How's your Aspen? I think they still sell those there. That's like their thing. Yeah, Friday evening into Saturday is looking like some good snow for Aspen. I'll tell you that. And then you can see here moving forward into early next week, another low pressure system and trough wanting to dig in. So this would be actually very good quality snow. This would be that fluffy stuff right there early next week. So it's looking like some good snowfall in Utah and Colorado over the next 7 days. It really is. That's your GFS thinking, yeah, maybe over a foot. What's our Euro thinking for the Southern Rockies? A little less bullish, 6 inches to a foot potentially. Mountain snow is extremely hard to predict, though. Mountains create their own kind of climate. There's weird wind, cold, warm air patterns, lift along the mountain ranges. Mountain snow is like the hardest thing to forecast on planet Earth because the elevation disrupts weather patterns and it disrupts low pressure systems, disrupts wind patterns, disrupts your temperature gradients and your warm, cold, dry, moist air boundaries. It disrupts everything. So it's very, very hard to accurately predict mountain snow. And anyone who lives in the mountains should know that because their snowfall totals are probably always wrong. Will it get very, very cold with this polar vortex split or just a little cold? It's going to get pretty cold. For the areas that it gets cold in, it'll get significantly cold. It's later in the season, so maybe not as cold as our cold outbreak in January. But the thing that happens with the polar vortex split, like you kind of said, is in seasons like 2010 when we had late snow into March, and seasons like winter 2018 when the polar vortex split, when we had well below average winter-like temperatures into parts of the central and southern states, like in April still, it can really elongate your winter. That's what happens more with the polar vortex split. It really elongates your winter and holds cold. It's not necessarily going to plunge you into the coldest temperatures you've ever seen, although it could. But it's going to elongate your winter and hold that cold air down to the south much longer. Do I think Tennessee will get snow the 14th to the 18th? That's pretty... I don't know who's going to get snow the 14th to the 18th. That's too far out. Yeah, I don't know. That's very far out. With this atmospheric setup, with this pattern we have setting up, with our block out here, our polar vortex dipping back down because of the breakdown of the polar vortex to split, you are going to have a chance in all these areas. Tennessee could get in on some of the action with this setup. It very, very, very well could. But that's out of forecasting range. Obviously, the bigger targets are more to the north and mid-Atlantic and northeast and then up towards here. But again, there are model runs that bring snow down here as well. So there's a few that bring it into Tennessee, especially on the European and Canadian model. But like, will you get snow? I can't tell you that for sure, just because it's so out of forecasting range. It's like over a week out of forecasting range. Ava, Kalov, Simply, Us, or US, Us, Joyce, Denica. I hope I said it right. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Is Philly seeing snow soon? Philly's probably seeing a good amount of snow in February. I'll tell you that. I'd expect more snow in Philly in February than we got in January, which we didn't get much in January. But if you put together a couple storms, it was like 5-6 inches total. But I expect us to come out of February being like, damn, that was a good snow for Philly. Yeah, I do. Connor, choose Messi or Ronaldo. Of course I know who they are. I'd have to choose Messi. I don't know. Ronaldo's always just seems so bougie and uptight to me. Messi seems more chill. I'd way rather go get a beer at a bar with Messi than Ronaldo. You see, Ronaldo always to me seemed like he was the bully in school. And Messi was like the one getting bullied. Do you think, if you're talking about actual skill, that's different. Do you think Ohio Valley will get ice this upcoming week? Parts of the Ohio Valley are guaranteed ice with this storm and probably with the second one behind it right there too. How much is a little up in the air. Like I said, I like to be within 24 hours for ice because they always get it wrong. But again, I'll look at the Euro for this. Just so you guys can see probably what's the most accurate forecast we have so far for ice. And that would be this. So this is going to be such a disruption for travel. Yeah. Oof. Especially central to northwestern, potentially. Ohio. And then there's an ice storm right after it. Look at central PA that wants to get an inch of ice within like a 3-day time period there. Parts of Indiana, southern Michigan, central, western, northwestern, Ohio. This is crazy. This is crazy ice, guys. Prepare if you're in these areas. I'm telling you, get some extra fuel in your house if your house is heated by fuel, because if power goes out, if you get this much ice, power goes out, you can't. They're not getting out to these lines to fix them for a while, so you need to have a little extra heating if you are a fuel heated house. So extra batteries, some extra water bottles, stuff like that in the house as well. You can have pipe issues, some extra food. It's just smart. This would be ridiculous. I hope we don't see this much ice. But tomorrow we'll have a better look at the ice forecast. So I'll talk about the ice forecast in my video tomorrow, because we'll be in a safe enough time frame to probably have an accurate forecast of the ice, or semi-accurate forecast of the ice. Ice is complicated to forecast more than a day out. Yeah, you can see here. Here's our European ensemble for Wisconsin. I saw someone asking about it. Here's our GFS ensemble for Wisconsin. It likes that snow a little bit farther to the north. Over the next couple weeks, Wisconsin's going to get a decent amount of snow. The models don't agree. The GFS likes heavy snow to the north, and the Euro is more generous with snow really across all of Wisconsin. The Euro is a better snow model, so the Euro could be the one that ends up being correct. I mean, if the Euro is correct, you'd have 6 inches to a foot of snow across almost the whole state, except for very, very far southern Wisconsin, maybe even farther south than Milwaukee or Madison. The Euro really, really likes heavy snow, though, through central Wisconsin to northern Wisconsin. We'll see. I think that we'll get some decent snow down to some okay snow down to Milwaukee and Madison as well, though. How much snow is that in New England? Well, this is just, I mean, you could see all of our ensembles, European, GFS, Canadian. This is a huge target for snow over the next 2 weeks, the Mid-Atlantic. This is 1 to 2 feet across the region. Just with the pattern we have setting up, it's crazy looking. It is crazy looking. You think it's going to shift south, Christian? Ice storm in 93. We play hockey for a week in our tennis courts. That's crazy. Be right back. 1 second, guys. 1 second. 1 second. back, chat. I'm back, chat. He left us alone. Scared of the weather. Ha, Brianna. Yeah, back. Charlotte could get more snow. Or could get snow, and I'm congested. My dang son got me sick. Charlotte could get snow in February or in early March with this setup. They could. Right now, there are multiple model runs on the GFS and in the Euro that give a chance for a decent snow through Charlotte. They're kind of outliers. A 93 repeat in North Carolina. Not impossible with this setup. They did have a polar vortex split, actually, I think, in 93 as well. They're kind of outliers, but again, sinking cold air, that's going to stick around for a while because of this block we have setting up. Negative NAO blocking, we have Greenland blocking, we have set it up out to the east in the Atlantic. Your chances of snow in the Carolinas and especially in Charlotte are up. They're not fantastic. Your European ensemble probability map still gives you guys a 10 to 30% chance of seeing accumulating snow in the next 2 weeks in Charlotte, though. So it's not bad. Yali, what's going on? They're calling. One second here. They're calling for snow and rain at Central Arkansas next week. Next week, that's out of forecasting range. The GFS and Euro do not agree on the exact location of that event yet, so we're not sure. There's going to be precipitation likely moving through Arkansas early next week, but what type of precipitation? It's a little too early to tell. We'll look at that in a second. Minneapolis, Minnesota, the European thinks is going to get 6 inches to a foot of snow on Saturday. I don't know if it's these. I would take the low end at, say, 6 to 8 inches, but it does look good. The GFS disagrees, but the Euro does much better. The Euro does much better with snow totals. You can see what the Euro wants to do over the Twin Cities here. So, and the Euro just does better with snowfall there at that latitude. Yeah, it feels so great. It was 80 degrees in Arkansas. Happy about a little warmer weather this week? Yeah. How much ice for Chicago? Again, I'm going to put... Tomorrow in my video, I'll talk about what I think my ice expectations are for this region. Ice, anytime someone forecasts ice more than 24 hours out, it's always wrong. So I'm just going to wait until tomorrow and then put on my ice forecast. Chicago could see low end, no ice. Could see high end, a half inch, I think. A half inch would be worst case scenario. Steamboat, I appreciate you. Can we see the projected snow totals for the Northeast? Yeah, we can take a look at a couple different models if you want. Here, let's just do a model comparison so you guys can see. We'll go to 12Z. We'll push out here to like 330. Okay. This is ridiculous. Here's the Euro. I shouldn't even show this. I'm going to get in trouble. Someone's going to screenshot this, record this, and then say I'm fear-mongering. Disclosure. No model on planet Earth knows how much snow is going to fall this far out. Why these maps are important is because look where they both put the snow in similar locations, and that's because of the outlook, the atmospheric setup we have. So here's our Euro. What are our snow totals up here in the Northeast according to our Euro? Well, anywhere from 1 to 3 feet up in Maine. I mean, anywhere from 1 to 3 feet in New England and upstate New York. And then really a foot through this region right here. Okay? I don't even want to show you guys the GFS, but I'll show you it. Here's the GFS expectations. The GFS thinks we could see 2 to 3 feet of snow in this region right here. That does include DC to Boston. So the silly thing is they both show ridiculous snow totals. Now I know why. Very close to record-breaking negative NAO with a polar vortex split. These things very rarely happen together too. It's a huge setup for big snow in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. I mean, it's crazy that like the lesser scenario still looks ridiculous, right? But we'll see. take that for what you will. Okay, let's get back to reality here. That might end up being reality, but we'll see. I don't know. I think they're both on crack a little bit, but that is the target for snow up there, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast. That is our target for snowfall. All right, can I get back here to forecast loop? Thank you. Here's our latest GFS. Okay, our latest GFS is shifting more snow into the Twin Cities with that system. Good to know. It had basically no snow originally. So there's that snow there, and we'll see what it does with the storm after it. What's the difference between... One second, let me fix this. What's the difference between 00Z and 12Z? I'm new to the modeling lingo. 00Z is midnight. 12Z is in the afternoon. But like if it's 12Z, which is 12 p.m., you take 6 hours away, and that's actually the time it is. So if this says like if I'm at 12Z, this says right up here in the top corner. Here, let me move back here. Our models come out at midnight, 6 a.m., 12 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 p.m., midnight. Well, on weather time, okay? This right here says this is at 12Z. This would be 12 in the afternoon, but really minus that by 6. This is actually 6 a.m. out here in the east. So 6 a.m., 5 a.m., 4 a.m., 3 a.m. All right, I want to see what the GFS does with this, because if the GFS agrees with the Euro on this, we'll have a much better idea of our snow totals through Minnesota and Wisconsin, which everyone's asking about with this snow system on Saturday. So we want to know what's going on with this. This will answer a lot of your questions. I don't want to go to school tomorrow. So boring. I don't want to go to work tomorrow. No more Red Bulls for you. Listen, if you understood the amount of energy drinks I drink, it's terrible. I just don't get enough sleep. Got 2 full-time jobs. Do you think Ohio Valley will get 2 full-time jobs and almost 2 kids? Do you think Ohio Valley... Yeah, Buzz, I think I answered you. Yeah, I think I answered you. Philly's seeing snow. Yes, Philly's going to see some good snow in February. Very likely. Do you think Ohio Valley will get... I think I answered that. Oh, don't tell me my freaking... One second. Okay, good. Will PA get snow or... Oh, there goes chat. Pennsylvania is in a great spot for snow. What model does the Apple Weather use? I don't know. The Apple Weather, whichever one is the most convenient at the time. Apple Weather, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. The other day, it showed like 6 inches from this Thursday storm in Philly, and like that's what the GFS was showing. So it showed the GFS, but then sometimes it'll show the Euro, and sometimes it'll show the NAM. It's just a really dumb app when it comes to precipitation. It doesn't do terrible with temperatures, but those are easier to predict anyways. Appreciate it, Yali. What's the least and most amount of snow north of central Jersey could see in the next 2 weeks? The most amount of snow you guys could see in the next 2 weeks? 2 feet of snow, high end. I think the least amount of snow you guys could see is like 3 to 6 inches. I think you're getting snow. That's like your high end and low end. It's pretty wide, but that's the models aren't agreeing. They're agreeing on snow. Nashville's going to be tough. A lot of these storms want to put snow down just to the north in Kentucky, but there's plenty of model runs. I showed them earlier in Weather Bell. There's about 30% of the model runs that actually bring some of these snowstorms farther down into the south into Nashville. So that's why over here on Weather Bell, when we look at our probability map here, you can see the European giving Nashville a 50 to 70% chance of seeing more accumulating snow over the next 2 weeks. Pretty high, actually. I don't know if it should be that high. Jen, I appreciate you. Thank you for the follows and subs, guys. Thank you. Any prediction of the NFL final? NFL final, that's a funny way to put it. My least 2 favorite teams in the NFL are the Eagles and the Chiefs, so that sucks. I don't hate the Chiefs. I just no one wants to see the same team keep winning. Like, share the love. I don't hate the Chiefs, so I'm gonna pick the Chiefs. I live in Philly, and if the Eagles win, I'm a Giants fan. If the Eagles win, I'm not gonna hear the last of it. I'm gonna be harassed by all my coworkers for the next until the start of next season. So I'm gonna be super. I might have to take a week off of streaming if the Eagles win, guys. I'm gonna be so depressed. And I'm a Giants fan. They're gonna win with Saquon. When will Delaware expect some actual warm weather? There's a tiny bit of a warm up in your future here. Look at this. Look at this ridge building right there. Into Friday, tiny ridge, but really, yeah, that's gonna be it for a while probably. Again, do not expect an early spring or summer, guys. For anyone who's joined late, let me show you this really quickly. Let me show you something here. So this is what... Let's go back to our polar vortex split. I was explaining this, but for people who weren't in here earlier, this article does a good job here, okay? This is severe weather Europe. A strong stratospheric warming event is starting to appear in the forecast for February. It shows a weakening and a split of the polar vortex. This usually creates, but this is rare, guys, daughter vortices in the stratosphere, of which one is forecast to move over North America, impacting the weather pattern over the United States and Canada. Significantly cold air, extended winter, lots of snow. Okay, this happened in 2010. Philadelphia got 42 inches of snow in 5 days. Doesn't mean that's going to happen, but this is that combined with, again, let me just run through this. An NAO, your North Atlantic Oscillation, right here, this would be a record-breaking NAO or close to it. Last time I got this low was, again, 2010. This sets up a huge block out to the east, meaning that cold air sinks in. It can't go anywhere. This is when you can get an extended winter in the States through April. It's not going to be cold the whole time, but much colder than it should be, and heavy snow out east, especially Mid-Atlantic Northeast region, Ohio Valley region. So here's an actual representation of what this looks like, what's happening. And this is a significant event. So it's not something you see every day. Here's our stratospheric polar vortex. God, every time I look at it, it's continuing to break. Wow, the GFS has this breaking much sooner than projected. It's stretching right now. We can go back to the 18Z. Stretching, wanting to come back together, and then you see the break. There should be one polar vortex. You see these reds wanting to push into the middle. This is the Arctic that you're looking at. We're looking at the Northern Hemisphere. This is the Arctic. This is where Santa Claus lives and all his little elves. And Mrs. Claus. So you can see this is up in the stratosphere. Warm air wanting to protrude in here, build up a high pressure, and just split this polar vortex in half. When this happens, you get an elongated winter in the south. And when this happens and you have a ridge built out here, and extremely negative NAO, this cold air sinks in and it sits there, and it pumps snow into the Ohio Valley northeast. Potentially brings it back down into the south. This can also affect snow out in the west, northern plain. It can affect snow everywhere because you just have well below average temperatures kind of stuck down here in the States for a while. This is a polar vortex split like this is kind of like a once in a decade type thing. But this is what is being projected by all models. And the end of the GFS is correct. This is just dumb. This is dumb. This would be record setting. I don't think that's going to happen. But here, let's go to our 00Z is still loading. But that's going to be a big heat up in Europe before it cools down. That's what's going on. For anyone who wasn't in here earlier. Your stratospheric polar vortex, by the way, is just a big. Imagine a jet stream of wind, and the lower the pressure is, the faster it goes. It holds in that Arctic air. As that pressure starts to decrease and that heat starts to move in, it slows down the polar jet and it weakens and it can split apart. A lot of times it just stretches and weakens. It doesn't split apart, but it's being projected to split by all models, not just one or two, all models. So that's why they're giving it a high confidence now. John Webb and Varick, I appreciate you guys. Jen M. John Webb, I appreciate you. Imagine if Ninja got a low taper fade. I know. Can you imagine that? Hey, what is going on, Mezzo Matt? Oh, let's see what the latest GFS is showing here on this. Everyone's been asking about this Minnesota. Okay. Bringing some snow back into that region. Here we go. Second one. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so this is starting to agree more with the Euro. 6 inches to a foot over a 5-day span in the Twin Cities. It's agreeing a little bit more with the Euro. 18Z here. Wanted that second snowstorm to the south. You see that? This is where the GFS had it last run, south of the Twin Cities. Here's our updated run. Brings that snow up to the north. There it is, up to the north. So we have better model consensus, and that is favoring Twin Cities snow. So there you go. There's your... Thanks, Sean Webb. Tell me about Colorado this week and next week. I'll tell you about it this week. Here's what our Euro thinks over the next 5 days to a week. Not much low elevation snow, but your ski mountains getting God, mountain snow is impossible to predict. Ask Mezzo Matt, who's in the chat. 6 inches to a foot over the next 5 days, potentially in the mountains. If you went back to the 12Z, it gives you guys another chance for a big shot of snow right after that. You can see especially the Colorado mountains, maybe pushing a foot or 2 feet. If you push a little bit farther into early next week, that wants to bring a heavy snowstorm down here into Colorado, including into the plains out there, Denver, over into Kansas. So that could be it could be a much more active event for Colorado next week. But snow's in your forecast for Colorado, especially the mountains in the short term. Probably some good snow in that second round. That's going to be a better snow ratio with colder temperatures. If you guys don't follow Mezzo Matt, you should. MESOMATT. He's everywhere. And he is your guy to go to for severe weather outbreaks. I cover them when I can, but he's doing this. Don't get me wrong. I spend 30 to 40 hours a week on my content and streaming, but I have a second job that I spend 40 hours a week on. He does this full time, so he's able to. God, I can't wait till I can do it full time. Hopefully sooner than later. You guys being in here, following, subbing, gifting, all that stuff helps me get a little bit closer to that goal. But he's able to cover severe weather full time and do this full time. So he's someone great to cover, especially when there's any sort of severe weather outbreak or any sort of snow system or anything, kind of that live coverage. But yeah, he does very similar stuff to me. So. Brother from another mother. Philly area looks very, very good for snowfall. Yeah, I mean, Matt, if you're in here, I was showing him this. European Ensemble, let's go. I mean, you can see where the target is here. It's so obvious what's happening. I did want to show you something else, actually, but I'll show you that in a second. So we got surface, winter. We'll just do our 10 to 1 back down to the U.S. Here's what's going on. Cowboys and cowgirls. Here's your Euro Ensemble. Big target for snow up here, obviously. There's that. Here's the GFS. Sorry, that's the 00Z. Let's go back here. Same thing. And then here is Canadian. And it wants to take me out of it. Sorry. But, long story short, same thing. This region wants to get slammed. The GFS wants to put 2 feet of snow through the region. The Euro wants to put 3 feet up here. You guys are going to get a lot of snow in the Mid-Atlantic Northeast this in the next upcoming weeks. How much exactly? It's out of forecasting range. Marcus and Veronica, I appreciate it. This is one of the silliest things I've ever seen in my life. The GFS Ensemble NAO. This is so unbelievably negative. This is like the largest blocking you've ever seen in your life over Greenland. Greenland's going to be cooking with heat. And this is a sign for big snow somewhere in this 14th to the 16th time range for the Ohio Valley out through the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Our European pulls back a little bit on that, but I mean it's still very negative. So still staying very negative down here. And our Arctic Oscillation, this is just cold weather. Sorry, here we go. Obviously very negative on both of these. This is crazy from the GFS. If the GFS were to be correct, right, this type of negative AO on the 15th with that type of negative NAO, we're going to see a monster. This is what wants to put down 2 feet into Philly. This look right here on that date. with that negative NAO. Not sold on it quite yet, guys, because that'd be a very rare event, but it is not out of the question. The Mid-Atlantic could get buried with snow mid to late February, so probably mid-February. It's not out of the question, so we're watching it. Could end up being more Ohio Valley or Northeast too. Ice in Indiana, again, I'm gonna talk about that in my video tomorrow. If you're trying to predict ice totals over a day out, you're just not going to be correct. So I can show you what the latest is on some of these models. Here's the latest with this first storm. I'm not going to go into the second one. Northern Indiana, that could be crippling ice right up there, up to a ½ inch. So I would prepare like there's going to be an ice storm. Bottled water, extra food, batteries, and extra fuel if your house is fuel heated. Don't plan on being on the roads Thursday. Probably Friday either if you don't have to be. Obviously, PA is a pretty big target there as well. Seeing the same teams in the finals kind of lame. I agree. There's a delayed response. That's why they say global warming causes a cooling trend. Yes. Global warming was always a really dumb name, though. Global warming never made any sense because the Earth is supposed to be warming. We're coming out of an ice age. I say this all the time. We're in what's called an we're in an ice age right now. If there's ice on planet Earth, it's considered an ice age, but we call it an interglacial period. Before humans ever existed, we've been through 6 different interglacial periods, all of which the Earth was warming, and it was supposed to be. So global warming was a dumb name for it because the planet, if the planet was cooling, we would be something would be wrong. But climate change kind of tries to target what the issue is, which is, are we speeding up the natural warming of the planet? Because the planet naturally should be warming. Naturally, each decade should get hotter by like 0.1, 0.2 degrees. It's very long process of heating. So don't worry, guys. But yeah. So global warming is always a stupid name. But climate change, like I said, I'm not gonna get into the politics of that. I really don't care. I just hey, our ozone's healing itself right now. Great news. But yes, as the planet warms, and as our stratosphere warms, it punches. It can affect our polar vortex and slow it more, stretch it more, break it more. So as the planet warms, you can actually see bigger outbreaks of cold in the south and bigger snowstorms in the south, not just because of the stretched polar vortex, but because 1.1 degree of warmth globally puts a ton more energy in our atmosphere moisture-wise each year. So with the warming of the planet, you're actually going to see sometimes bigger cold outbreaks in the south and more snow. But like I said, our global temperature has risen like a degree and a half over the last 200 years. So no one's sounding the alarm quite yet. And our ozone is actually going in the right direction right now. Our ozone layer is actually starting to heal itself in both poles, which is great news. But it's done that a million times. Our ozone rips open and then heals itself. It's done that like probably 20 times. North snow, northern Arizona. You can see right there. Is this our? Let's go into. See if our Euro 18Z has anything there. Let's see here. Yeah, not much predicted until mid-February. That's when you get a much bigger. This is our negative AO. This is our stratospheric polar vortex split, about a week, lagging a week behind, bringing colder air down there. If we go into our CPC outlook, you can see our 6 to 10 day precipitation. This is through the 13th of February. You're expected to stay dry down here. I wouldn't expect any snow down there in that time frame. Starts to look a little bit better as we get into mid-February, 14th, 15th, 16th time frame. Maybe you do get a little bit of snow or precipitation in northern to central Arizona. If we were to take a look just straight up at our 12Z Euro, it stays pretty dry down there for a while until potentially, 13th, 14th, 15th, and then you start to see something. Really quick, let me see how loaded our new GFS is. All right, how is it treating these storms? Let's see, it's pulled off. Well, we'll see. We'll see what our new snow totals look like on the GFS here. It's pushing that storm a little bit farther to the north. Let's look at our updated snow totals from the 00Z GFS. I don't know what it's seeing down here, but whatever. I mean, I think that's kind of what the Euro sees during that time frame as well. With those two storms, snow staying to the north. So we'll let that keep loading. Any ice possible? Texas with the second storm. I wouldn't say yet. I don't see any ice with that down Texas either. We had snow here on the northern coast of California today. Oh, nice. So some low elevation. Nice. Probably get more of that actually moving forward. Yeah, I've spoken about Seattle a few times. Wednesday, Thursday, it looks like you're probably actually finally going to get some low elevation snow, potentially down to Seattle and Portland. I'd like to get a snow report if you do, because you have some troughing. You're going to have some surface temperatures that finally want to get cold enough up there. As that cooler air moves in. Yeah, 28. Let's look at our temperature anomalies up there actually. Up in the Pacific Northwest. You can see that well below average temperatures really holding for quite a while up there in the Pacific Northwest. That's a very La Nina look. Very not La Nina look moving forwards. Some good moisture staying up there. Some good moisture moving back into Washington and Oregon with below average temperatures for quite a while. Outlook for southern snow. What's going on, Austin? Through February. Most of the snow wants to say Tennessee, North Carolina, and north. Even Tennessee and North Carolina is going to be tough. But with this polar vortex break, which is almost inevitable at this point, we may see the opportunity for a southern sweeper. I mean, there's going to be the opportunity. There's some model runs. We were looking at them earlier of the Euro that do bring snow. There's some model runs of the European NGFS that do bring snow back down through here, this section. So, not impossible. They're kind of outliers. It got cold real quick here today. Let's look at our temperatures real quick. Let's see. Where am I? Temperature anomaly. Oh, yeah. And it's just going to get colder. You can see that troughing moving in. Actually, then you got a ridge building and then the troughing coming in right behind it again. So actually, you'll sit around average for a little bit. Here's the big drop in temperatures, Pam. Right here, early next week, maybe into Tuesday. So this is the 18Z, the GFS. I mean, this would be crazy. 43 degrees below average on Valentine's Day in Omaha, Nebraska. What would that look like, wind chill wise? I have to see. Negative 20 degrees on Valentine's Day. Negative 30 degrees on Valentine's. Negative 34 degrees in Omaha, Nebraska on Valentine's Day. Hopefully that's wrong. Hopefully that's wrong, Pam. Let's look at what our European thinks. I'm sure our European won't do that, right? Our European thinks Valentine's Day for our Valentine's Day low is going to be much better. Well, our Euro thinks it's going to be in the negatives as well. Oh my gosh, look what the Euro puts. Negative 24 degree wind chill the day after Valentine's Day in Omaha, Nebraska. It's coming for you, Pam. Yeah, let's see this real quick. Mesoscale analysis. Here we go. 20 degrees right now. Around 20 degrees right now in Omaha, but the wind chill is probably much worse. Can I read this chart enough? It looks like you maybe have 10 to 15 mile per hour winds. Alrighty, let's get back here. So, well, here, 1 second, guys. Pam, I appreciate you. Let me just show you guys this. I got to get off soon because I got to get up really early in the morning again. Long week for me. I just want to see what our GFS is thinking here moving. This is our latest. It's our 00Z of the GFS. Okay, there's those 2 storms. Great. And here we go. Wow, look at this. Here's our updated GFS. Bringing that snow into the DMV, and then look at this. Here's our latest update of the GFS. Look at this big snowstorm that wants to form right here. This is going to be moving through this region. This is gonna make a lot of people happy if that happens. Texas right now, we're not expecting any snowfall quite yet in the forecast. We could potentially see some northern up here. There are some model runs that bring snow actually down into central Texas. They're very out. They're like 1 or 2 runs out of 25 show that. Very small chance right now. But mid-February through early March, we have again, splitting polar vortex, a breaking polar vortex with a big NAO, which means well below average air diving, and it gets stuck because you have a block out here. So everyone's going to see more wintry conditions here as we push through February. It's inevitable. I appreciate the follows, subs, anyone who gifted, anyone who's just in here engaging with me. You guys are awesome. I have to go to bed. I'm going to post another video tomorrow. I'm going to be live again tomorrow. I go live every single night as long as something weird doesn't happen. Yeah, I explain. If I didn't answer your question, the video I just posted on YouTube and TikTok, really I go over what's happening, where the target for snow is, what could happen. The video before too, we may see the snow line shift even farther to the south. We'll see. It's all good, Bam. But I appreciate you guys. I'll be obviously posting another video on all these updates tomorrow. This is going to be January, we saw some crazy temperatures. February is going to be about the winter storms. We could see some major severe weather events in the southeast, some decent ice, again, across the models, they're thinking 1 foot to 2 feet of snow through these portions. We're seeing the Pacific Northwest right now and just Northwest in general being just hammered with snowfall. You guys haven't seen anything yet. Wait till mid-February. That stratospheric polar vortex is splitting. This is like I said, once a decade event with how negative our NAO, once every 2 decade event with how negative our NAO is getting with this polar vortex split. That's why you're starting to see articles about it. You're going to see a lot of talk about it. Exciting stuff. Winter is here to stay for a while. Sorry for you guys who hate snow and cold air, but it's here to stay for a while. But yeah, I appreciate you guys, and I will see you next time. Thank you, everyone. And have a good night.